Have you ever experienced your heart racing, where your chest might feel tight, or that busy brain where you can't stop overthinking? Maybe it's the restless body where you can't sit still or you even feel shaky. Or sometimes the quiet freeze where you just shut down or procrastinate. Maybe you've had that feeling where it feels like your brain is a browser with 50 tabs open and you can't find which one is playing that music. Those are all examples of how anxiety can show up in your life. And we're going to talk about that today. And while I am a licensed therapist, this is in no way meant to replace a therapy session. This is only meant for psychoeducation, for you to gain an understanding of anxiety. If you do feel like you are having your functioning affected by anxiety, please seek out a mental health professional in your area. And I thank you for taking the time to listen. If you would like, share, and subscribe, that would be great. Let's talk about anxiety. Anxiety often feels like a loud, persistent alarm ringing in a room where there is no fire. It's uncomfortable, it's exhausting, and most importantly, it is human. If you're feeling the weight of it right now, know that your nervous system is simply trying to protect you. Even if its methods are a bit over enthusiastic. I'm going to give you a breakdown of what happens when you experience anxiety, how it looks in the real world, and how you can reclaim your calm. Anxiety isn't a character flaw. It's a biological and psychological response. It has some common triggers. There's the safety loop. Your brain's amygdala senses a threat. This can be real or perceived, and this triggers a fight or flight response. Your body starts to release cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals were supposed to do this. This is what your body was supposed to do. But somehow it becomes too much and you can't handle it. You have uncertainty. Human brains crave predictability. When the future feels blurry, the mind often fills in the gaps with the worst case scenarios. You experience high stakes or high pressure where you want to have perfectionism, or you fear judgment, which can turn a simple task into a high pressure survival situation. And then you have some people who are just biologically more sensitive. Some people simply have a more finely tuned alarm system that could be due to genetics, or it could be due to our past experiences. If you have experienced a traumatic event in your life, you're definitely going to be more biologically sensitive to situations in your environment that set your alarm off. Let's take a look at some examples of how anxiety plays out in real life. You're on a coffee date and you spend the next 3 hours over analyzing a joke you made. You convince yourself that everyone thinks you're awkward, even though the conversation was perfectly normal and you enjoyed yourself. You could have paralysis, where you might have a large project due. Instead of starting it, you feel a crushing weight in your chest. You end up scrolling on your phone to escape the feeling, which only makes the anxiety worse because now time is running out and you have this large project due. I have to tell you, once I set my mind that I was going to start making these videos and I set the date, I experienced this paralysis. I kept putting it off, deciding to work on other things, anything but create this video. I finally had to go into my own toolbox and use some of my own tools to process what was going on with me and get my butt in gear and make this video. You can also experience a physical mimic when your body experiences anxiety. What does this look like? You're sitting on the couch when your heart starts racing for no apparent reason. You start worrying about your health, which causes your heart to beat even faster, and this loop just feeds itself. The next thing you know, you're doom scrolling on WebMD, and you've diagnosed yourself with something that is not even actually going on with you. So what can you do? What are some actionable steps when this alarm goes off in your brain? When this alarm starts ringing, you want to use some tools that's going to dial down the volume. There's a grounding technique. It's called the 5-4-3-2-1. What this does is it pulls your brain out of the future worry and back into the present moment by engaging your senses. You name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. I love this technique because it is very effective. You can do it in any order, as long as you're remembering to use your 5 senses and you're using 5-4-3-2-1. And you can do it repeatedly. You can do this in your head. Nobody knows what's going on. Or you can do it out loud if you need that reinforcement. You can practice square breathing, which is box breathing. This is when you inhale for 4 seconds. That means you're going to take a slow inhale. You're going to hold it for 4 seconds. Then you're going to exhale slowly for 4 seconds. And then you're going to hold that for 4 seconds. And you're going to repeat that. And you're going to do that over and over again until you feel calm and regulated. So remember, this technique is about doing controlled breathing. And you're doing it slowly. You don't want to speed this up because you don't want to hyperventilate. You can also challenge your thoughts. Instead of accepting an anxious thought as a fact, you want to put it on trial. Is there actual evidence that this thought is true? Is this thought helpful to me right now? Or what would I tell a friend who was having this exact thought? You can schedule your worry time. If your mind is racing, it's looking for answers, it's looking to be recognized. You want to say, I'm not going to ignore this, but I am going to worry about this at 5 o'clock for 15 minutes. This gives you a sense of control over your day. You don't have to fix your anxiety all at once. Success isn't the total absence of anxiety. It's learning how to coexist with it without letting it drive the car. As we look more at anxiety, we understand that anxiety rarely travels alone. It often acts as a secondary emotion, meaning it sits on top of other feelings that might be harder to process or identify. Understanding these underlying emotions can help you get to the root of the alarm that's going off. You can have grief or loss, when we lose something, a loved one, a job, or even a sense of normalcy, the world feels less safe because grief is heavy and painful. The mind sometimes converts that sadness into hypervigilance, which is anxiety. It does this as a way to keep us on guard, to protect us from future pain. We could have guilt or shame. Guilt is where we're feeling we did something bad. Shame is where we feel like we are bad. And these are massive triggers to anxiety. You're sometimes, when you experience these two emotions, you'll get into a cycle where you feel like you've let someone down, which leads to catastrophic thinking. You imagine that these people hate you or that your reputation is ruined. This manifests as a physical restlessness of anxiety. Then there's anger and frustration. Sometimes anxiety is actually misplaced anger. If you feel you cannot express anger safely, perhaps at a boss or a family member, that energy stays trapped in your body. It can turn inward, becoming a jittery, nervous tension because the emotion has nowhere to go. And then there's the emotion of being overwhelmed or mental exhaustion. While overwhelmed is often seen as a state of being, it is felt emotionally as a loss of control. When the input of life exceeds our processing power, your brain enters a state of high alert to try to keep up, which feels identical to a panic response. So how do we identify these underlying emotions? If you're feeling anxious but can't point to a specific threat, try the what else technique. That includes labeling the anxiety. I am feeling anxious right now. And yes, that can feel silly. But your body responds to words. Your brain doesn't know. It's looking for understanding. So try saying that out loud. I am feeling anxious right now. Because we often minimalize the way we feel. Or we try to rationalize the way we feel so it goes away. And that never works. You want to look deeper. Ask yourself, if I wasn't allowed to use the word anxious, what other feeling is in my body right now? And then you want to check for the shoulds. Are you feeling guilty because you should be doing more? Are you angry because a boundary was crossed? Try doing an emotional scan. When anxiety hits, take a moment to scan for those hidden contributors. Is this fear? Am I afraid of a future event? Is this sadness? Am I longing for something I lost? Is this anger? Am I feeling unheard or mistreated? By naming the specific emotion, you take away its power to hide behind a mask of general anxiety. Try to remember that anxiety can act as a thief. It can steal your time, causing you not to live and enjoy your moments because it places you stuck in the past or fearing the future. We are supposed to have emotions. They have a job to do for us, but they're not supposed to control us. You can learn to manage your emotions. Thank you for listening. And remember, if you've listened to this, then you're my people. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you.